UX, and we are back here for another live stream in which what we'll be breaking down and yet again another snowstorm. This time, it is not going to be as we discussed on the video last night. Sorry, almost early this morning. That this is not going to be anything to dismiss. Okay, this is going to be the real deal here. We're going to break this all down. We're going to break down all the nuances, what to keep an eye on. Okay. And we're going to break this down in depth. Okay. So for those rewatching right now, this is to get away from all those, long range model snow runs you see and all that stuff. And this is just basically, if you want the analysis, if you want to, have an idea for what might be here to come and what to look for and what, kind of a meteorologist / weatherman's perspective is going to be on this storm so you can get, kind of an idea of maybe what to look for upcoming here. This is a spot for you. If you just want pretty colors, this is not the spot for you. Okay. I don't really care if I get 100 views, 30 views, or 1,000 views at the same time. Okay. I do care about growing and I want to help, but not for the reasons of just so I can make money to extort you to watching. I love this stuff with a passion, and it's my job, in my opinion, for me, it's my job that I've created for myself to try to allow you to give you the perspective that I have, and hopefully it will be good enough, for you to hopefully have a good idea of what might be to come here. So that gives you some perspective if you're just new here on the channel, if you're, wanting to know what to expect. That's what I'm going to do here. So we'll get started in a second as we let people filter in, and I throw the video on X as well. Okay. Let me open up the chat here. All right. Bermani, how we doing? Celtic Supreme, how we doing? Michael Phillips, welcome. I'm seeing new model runs and they all seem crazy. Yeah, they are. Peep the GFS 300 hours out. Forget 300. Look at that one. You don't even need to go 300 hours out. But yeah, 300 hours out is a banger. Look at that. That's that time frame that we kind of mentioned. Actually, I forgot to mention last night, guys. Japan teleconnection on this time frame right here. This time frame right here is Japan teleconnection. This long range, that's Bering Strait right there. So first week of February, we're going to have another one. So we'll get into all this. We're just letting people filter in. And here we are. We're going to break this all down. NC Player, hello. Again, if I don't get to your chat right away, guys, please don't twist it. How are we doing? You really can't. Thank you. Is it Nikki or Nick? I appreciate it, keeping people informed so they can make preparations. Watching from Western North Carolina, see you got a lot coming your way, no matter what. Ben, welcome. Welcome, Ben. Welcome, Kevin. Sierra, welcome. Philly to Boston, certainly on the table. We're going to discuss it. Canadian model, we'll discuss it as well. Rich, how we doing? Yeah, we got a lot to we got a lot to discuss here. Ethan, welcome. M.E. Dive Elmac. What will the impact in Annapolis, Maryland be, regardless of specifics? Nick, okay, thank you. It will be this will be, Mid-Atlantic is not missing out on this. Regardless, even if you were to, let's say, get some ice in the Mid-Atlantic, you would Mid-Atlantic isn't missing us, and we've said that. We were leaning last night, Mid-Atlantic into southern New England for the most snow potential, or where I'm leaning, and I'm still leaning, but becoming a little bit more confident, I think, and it's not because of model guidance. Model guidance helps. I should say it's not strictly off of model guidance. Seeing model guidance definitely with some support is definitely a little bit more helpful. I don't like being on an island with my thinking, so. Um, we're gonna all dive into this in a second here. There's a lot to discuss. There is a lot to discuss. Again, if you're new here, New York City, absolutely. New York City is absolutely somewhere that could get hit here. I think the totals are going to be even crazier than projected. That's certainly always possible. The biggest one I always go to was December 2020. That was one there was not a single piece of model guidance showing 3 to 4 feet of snow. And sure enough, I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I'm just pointing out. Don't mind me if my mouth sounds a little weird. I got a cough drop right now. I'm still battling whatever sickness came my way. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Thunder snow in DC, Baltimore. Way too early to discuss where thunder snow will happen, but this certainly seems like the event where we're going to get some thunder snow. Certainly seems like the event here where we will get some thunder snow. Again, if you're new here, this is kind of what we're going to do. We're going to do in-depth analysis here. It's going to be dense, but I'm always going to try to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about and explain it clearly. So if you really want in-depth analysis and you want to understand the nuances behind a storm like this is what, and you can look at the pieces on the models yourselves, and you don't just have to look at those surface maps that are terrible at depicting so far out. And people say the models are always so wrong, and that's true. The question is how wrong. And so it's my job, right, and other people that are in the weather, that's their job to try to figure out what's going to happen here. So that's kind of what we're going to do here in just a second. Okay. DC ground zero. DC is certainly a spot that could get that could get hit here. It's way too early to discuss totals, but December 2020, when Buddy VT asked me the day of the storm, I said 60. She got 45. Yeah, that was one. Luckily, I had like 10 to 20 out there for those people. Luckily, blizzard of 93 in the benchmark. I think for winter weather in the last 25 years. UCMET 0Z went bonkers. All right, lock in and pay attention to Brady. We'll go in. We'll discuss. And again, it's not necessarily just north and south here. There's more at play, but I'm becoming a little bit more, increasingly confident here based on what I'm seeing with the analysis that is leaning me towards Mid-Atlantic into southern New England. And I'm telling you, there isn't necessarily a limit. There is, but there isn't. And the Canadian shows that a little bit. So let's get into it here. Let's get into it. Again, for the most snow, not all snow or not any snow. This could still absolutely, in my opinion, be a very notable snow event. And I mean, it would be a snowstorm. But I think you'll switch over to ice potentially for the Carolinas. In particular, North Carolina. South Carolina, I'm not as confident in the snow potential. And it's not based on just model guidance. I'm telling you, if you watched the video last night, you will know that that was not my thought. And at first glance, I also thought, hey, that's a strong confluence piece working. And I was just looking from afar because, hey, we noticed. Listen, guys, we've been noting this storm for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks now. If you can go back, we'll go all the way back to the videos, and I said January 21st to 27th is the time frame for a storm to get into the eastern U.S. along the coast. We mentioned it. So you can go all the way back to that with the Bering Strait connection that we talked about. And if you are curious. And so when I mention long range stuff, I'm trying to hold some merit to it. I'm not just throwing stuff out there. I'm very much trying to forecast efficiently with that stuff. Is Maine too far north? Maybe. But this is one, this is one where not necessarily that there's a limit on how far north, in my opinion, the snow shield can get here. And so let's kind of discuss what we were talking about last night. In my opinion, there's a few different scenarios that can still unfold just based on what all the model guidance has shown. And the reason I say that, I thought you're like, Brady, I thought you don't rely on model guidance. I don't, but model guidance is very good at showing the range of scenarios, in my opinion. That's why I love model guidance. Obviously, the pretty colors, they're fun, but model guidance is very, very good at showing the potential scenarios at play. And so once you start viewing model guidance like that, and not necessarily the most accurate forecast, that's where the narrative can start to shift here in terms of how models are perceived. But until then, models are just going to be, what model is right? That's the question you get asked a lot. None of them are right. They're all wrong. The question is how wrong. And it's kind of my job to figure out which ones may be more wrong than the others. And I don't lean towards one model. I get a lot of questions sometimes. What's my favorite model? I don't have a favorite model. Not at least the weather kind. I do not have a favorite one. I think you can make the case, as I do not care about any spelling right now. Thank you, dictionary. I think you can make the case the Euro AI and the ensemble unit in particular is maybe the best right now. But that does not mean that there are still not major biases. And setup to setup, it varies. Every model does better in the one setup compared to the last. So anytime I hear somebody say that this model has been terrible, really the GFS might be the outlier on this. But when I hear it about, especially like the Canadian, or I hear it about sometimes the Euro, if the Euro failed the storm, listen, the Euro stunk it up. There's no question about it. The Euro stunk it up last storm. But that does not mean that it's not going to be very valuable for the next setup or the next one after this. And I say that, make that clear, because you have to look up what the setup is, and you have to look at the biases of each and every model. You have to understand that. And if you don't, then you're just going to be looking at models as if right and wrong scenarios and trying to lean on one. That's not how it works. You cannot lean on model guidance for your final end solution. Because you know what you see a lot of times is, not always, and it's not even I wouldn't say it's even, why is the dictionary keep freaking popping? I don't care about it. It's not even like 80% of the time, I would say, but a lot of times model guidance is all shift the same in the same suite, meaning when 0Z comes, if you see a couple models do something, usually all the models tend to shift a little bit with that, and they follow each other based on the latest data they have. That's kind of how good we've gotten with models now, believe it or not. The problem is, though, that doesn't mean they're accurate. Oh my God, the dictionary. What am I clicking on? Get the dictionary off. Remove from the dock immediately. I don't care about the dictionary. And so with this setup here, there's still something where this could go south. So let's discuss why. So first, keep an eye. We got a clipper moving through tomorrow night into Thursday. Yeah, we'll discuss all of that, DJ Slankman. Send a blizzard to New York City. I'll try my best. I'm not sure if this will have the winds for a blizzard, but and that, honestly, side note, I mentioned it on Gerald's stream. If you want the most snow, you don't necessarily want a blizzard. Honestly, you want lighter winds, because the blizzard breaks up the snow, and it makes it harder for better ratios. So you kind of want to you actually kind of want you kind of want lighter winds in the lower parts and the middle parts of the atmosphere to get the best snow growth, more accumulation, higher ratios. And this is going to be a high ratio. I'm telling you, the ceiling with this system is going to be incredibly high, incredibly high. I don't know how high yet because realistically, I don't want to throw something out there realistically, but it is high. And I alluded to it on X and YouTube. But if you take a look here, notice this clipper moves through, keep an eye. Great Lakes, Northeast. We'll see maybe down to the coast. I'm not sure if thermals will support it at the surface. Keep an eye, some snowfall possible for a clipper. And it will be it won't be too heavy, but you know, it will help beef up any of the compaction of the snowpack. What am I doing? I think it's the right click. We got to get this. I'm off my game, and we can't be off our game. We can't be off our game with a storm like this. That can't be happening. We can't be right clicking so much. Let me get it up here. Okay. So that moves through. This brings in, I'm telling you guys, Thursday, Friday is going to be so freaking cold. It is going to be so cold. It is going to be so cold. And this is going to help funnel in. This is what sets the stage. And here's the reason why you need to stop buying into every single model run as if it's life or death. I say this for the 2 to 4 inch system, and I'll say it for the 6 to 12, and I'll say it for whatever this is going to be, this whatever major one. Right? I'll say it for any of that. I'll say it for the 2 to 3 foot blizzard. I'll say it for them all. You need to stop buying so much into every single model run. Every single model run. Because this is late fast flow. You have a massive western ridge going on over here, and we've now put the ridge position in a place due to the activeness of the subtropical jet. You see how active our subtropical jet here? All of this convection, all this compact Baja low, which is going to be our snowstorm. Question is, when does it eject? This is ejecting at some point. Question is when. It's too potent, the notable ridge. This is going to get, and the reason that I suspect it's mid-Atlantic into southern New England potentially is because of how organized and how amped up our subtropical jet is. That makes it a little bit more favorable for this thing to potentially be able to have less problems than we usually see with the ejection. Just such an amped up moisture source, such an amped up subtropical jet here. And the reason why this pattern here for a storm is so good, the reason it's so good for a storm here is look at this western ridge. Look at it, massive. So now we have a cross pole. This is displacing cold air out of northwest Canada, displacing it. So cold air has to ride down now into the northern and central US, along with around the TPV lobe. Look at the polar vortex stretching event we have here. So all of this is Arctic cold air, and you can see all of these lobes of the polar vortex here, many ones too, but you can see a big one here, and all of these lobes around the polar vortex keep rotating it around along with the energy that rides in from the Pacific along this western ridge. And then you have the position of it, though, allows the subtropical jet to infuse moisture. You're meeting Arctic cold air with loaded subtropical moisture. That creates a massive snowstorm, especially if you're able to get a phase, and we're going to talk about it. This is what creates this is the ceiling with the storm. I don't want to allude to specific totals yet, but all I'll say is this could be a storm for whoever does get hit with this to measure with the yardstick and not the ruler. Okay, this could be one of those storms. Okay, just letting you know right now. There's the potential. The potential is certainly there. Oh my God, the freaking dictionary. This is anybody that's been watching me for a minute now knows I've never ever done this so much. I'm not sure why I keep doing it. But the potential with this system is potent. It's potent. If my puppy Tatum was out right now, I'd have an excuse, but I have zero excuse right now. I got to stop double right. I'm not sure what I'm doing, to be honest, but and so this loads through. Notice those. So this is the setup here where you just have lobes of the polar vortex, right? So this is your polar, right? This is the Arctic. This is where the coldest air in the northern hemisphere exists here. And oftentimes we see lobes of energy that get sent out and they displace that cold air. They displace that cold air when you get displacement. We see this oftentimes in the wintertime when it, and this, what happens here is now we're in a pattern where these load through here. These load through here. Brady versus the dictionary is by far the biggest rivalry right now. Are you kidding me? It's bigger than what Pat's Broncos is going to be. Are you kidding me? This is, but this is, guys, it's the coldest air of the year coming in. It's peak winter time frame. It's late January. This is climatologically speaking here. Everything is synoptically driven for a major winter storm that will have a major ice potential. Because what are we talking about? Arctic air this cold is going to displace south. It's going to displace south. And so what does that mean? You get a warm nose to override here. And all that does means is your surface is cold and above the surface, right? We talk about it. Why? Because imagine I'm drawing a 3D box here of the column. Imagine this is where you live right now. If you live here, let's say this is 850 millibars higher up in the atmosphere. Here's 700. Here's 500. Here's 250. And I didn't draw it well, but let's say this is the top. This is nothing. This is space, let's just say. And you keep going up in the atmosphere. So here at the surface, you might be nice and cold. You might be like 29, 28 degrees, let's say, here at the surface. But let's say you have a warm nose up here at 700 to 800 millibars. And let's say you're 3 or 4 degrees above freezing, at least, maybe more. Potentially maybe like 7 to 8 degrees above. That's how notable the warm tongue could be. But let's say by the time that snowflake now becomes, right, starts as a snowflake, and then when it gets down the atmosphere, it now melts. And so now it becomes a raindrop again. The problem is, though, there may not be enough time at the surface or in the lower levels of the atmosphere here for that raindrop to refreeze. And if it does not refreeze, then it comes down as, instead of an ice pellet, which would be sleet, if it refreezes, then it's sleet. If the lower levels of the atmosphere are cold enough, you will refreeze and you'll turn it into a sleet pellet. And then at that point, you get terrible impacts from a major sleet storm, and the removal process is awful. But at least it's not ice. When it does not refreeze, it becomes freezing rain. And this is why we're so concerned here, is because there's such a widespread area across the South here to potentially do this. But widespread potential for some places. And this could extend farther north. It's just, I think, at least into the mid-Atlantic, you will start no matter what. And into the mid-Atlantic and lower Northeast, no matter what, bearing anything drastic, you will start as snow. I'm almost certain. And you'll probably get a lot of it. You will probably get a lot of it. So this is why I'm telling you, Mid-Atlantic is in a fantastic spot to, regardless, even if you were to see ice, I think, to see a lot of snow. Mid-Atlantic is in a great spot, in my opinion. You have the most margin for error. You just may not have the highest ceiling. You could. And so in this pattern here, these Arctic cold air, man. And so this Arctic air is set into place. And you would think, well, how are we going to do this? This piece is moving so far south. Look at this. This is actually the tail end of a confluence piece. Meaning it's just the tail edge of this storm here. Look where the storm is. This is something that people aren't discussing right now. Is that, yeah, we're discussing Maryland right now. Is it Jafar in the finest? Sorry, I can only read so many comments right now. I'm not used to this many people in the stream, by the way. It's very, I appreciate everybody that's in here. If you don't mind hitting the like, it's very helpful. There's channel memberships, there's super chats. I will definitely read your super chat if you put that there. I'll do my best, but I don't want you to feel obligated at all to do so. But I'll try my best to read as many comments as I can. But I just want to break down the setup. That's most important to me, is breaking down all the pieces on the table. And I promise I will get to all your questions. So keep them coming, and I'll try to read as many as I can. I'll do my best. I promise. But it's just a one-man show here, so I'll do my best. But the key is, this is the tail end of this confluence, meaning it's just the back edge of the storm here. This is your storm up here, right? I'll show it for those that aren't used to so many upper level stuff. I'll show it. All right, you can see the preset map up here, and I'll show you. Right, you see the storm up here? That's all that is. Anytime you see a strong area of red on the map, that's a strong sign of spin in the atmosphere. And that's usually a storm, is what when you see it start to consolidate all of this energy and wrap up, that's a storm. That's a storm. That's a storm. All of these are storms right here. Like usually strong storms when it wraps up. And that's why it's important to look at this stuff, because it's upper level energy, and it dictates where you need to really look, not the surface maps. These are more important. And so that storm wraps up. So look at it. It's a moving high pressure. That's a moving high pressure. This is moving out of the way. None of this is a stationary high. If this were a stationary high, this would be only the south. And this would be the most perfect setup ever for southern snowstorm. Maybe not ever, but you get the point. This is a moving high pressure. What the key is with this storm here is whatever happens back here. We can focus on the ejection and when it happens all we want, and we can worry about that until we get closer. But right now, I keep looking at back here, because look, there's just more and more lobes that come in from the Pacific side and the Arctic side. And the timing of when these move through and how far west they get is everything, And right now, guidance has moved closer a little bit to align with my thoughts for the general idea for the storm. I still don't know the specific scenario of it, but guidance is supporting the theory that look at the moving high now. Now that's just, look at this. If this piece is faster now, you see what I mean? If this piece was faster and right here, this limits any northeast potential. This would limit any northeast potential. Doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it a lot harder. The further away these two pieces are here, this makes it much harder to get anything further north. And if you live further south, that's what you're hoping for if you want snow. You're living North Carolina, Southern Virginia, Tennessee, those places there, this is what you're hoping for. These two disconnect, so all of this moisture runs into the Arctic air and has no room to come north. This would have no room to come north. Welcome, meteorologist kid. Yes, pay attention to the forecast. Absolutely. And so all of this has room to come north then. If we see this break up here, because now this is a moving high pressure. This has no authority then at that point. This is a moving high pressure dictated by what happens here and here. And then it all comes down to the timing of these two pieces here. That's what's driving the setup in the upper levels. That's what's driving the setup. And we'll discuss why the ceiling and the potential with this is as high as it is. Now, we can take a look at the Euro AI and see what it did here. Let's see. I can tell you right now, Euro AI is going to come north. I can tell you right now. And it's not just north. It doesn't mean southern places still don't get involved. Euro AI is making the change with the rest of guidance. This is important. Model's a tool. It does not drive the forecast, but it's important. It is certainly important to have model guidance as support, but it is not the tool you want to rely on. But given how well the Euro AI has done, once we start getting into the closer range, this is important. This moves towards the Euro. And so here is the other aspect of this storm now that moves me to my next point. And the Euro AI segues beautifully. Look at the difference, Euro AI and the GFS here. A little bit closer now, actually. A little bit closer. But you can see the difference in the piece. You see how the GFS really closes this off, has less of an ejection of this piece here? Barely. It's actually not that far off. Just some of the other specifics. There's so many specifics that are a little bit different that these height lines are a little bit higher. That's really the main difference. And this is a little further back on the Euro AI and less closed off. This wants to tango, right? It takes two to tango. If you have one person that doesn't really feel like moving those hips, getting ready to dance, right? let's just say that, then you're not going to really be doing the tango. It's just one person dancing and the other doing their own thing. So that would be happening. This guy just dances. Well, this girl just moves on and doesn't interact. Height lines stay more suppressed, and you prevent the northern. And even then though, these two are close enough and height lines are high enough, you would still get this to get into the northeast. You would still get this to get into the northeast here. But look now what you do. And you still get southern snow. I'll show you the snow map. Look at that. You still get southern snow. You would get overrunning precip for southern snow here. And you absolutely would. It's just once the energy starts coming together, look at the expansion north of the precip. You see that? And don't take this verbatim. I'm just showing you. Remember we were looking at the upper levels here? There's that major storm here. This is the tail end of the boundary right here. And that's Arctic air. Anytime the tail end of a boundary with Arctic air in place that brings it in, boy, oh boy, that's what it creates. But take a look here. Euro AI now. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. This run, 18Z. Look at that. Much closer to the Euro. And look now, you have a little bit more of a southwest to northeast flow. And if you get a southwest to northeast flow with this system, mid-Atlantic into northeast, we're talking about a major snowstorm. Major snowstorm. Yardsticks, not rulers. Rulers will not be enough for whoever gets the most. High ratio snow this would be too. The pieces are at play. I've seen some questions. Is there any way we don't get this? No. No. This is a major storm coming. The question is where. The question is where. Greensboro, North Carolina, very concerned about some ice potential there. And you can see the difference on the preset map. Take a look. You see that? And then this leads me to the next part that we need to discuss here is the coastal redevelopment. I'm 30 miles south of Pittsburgh. Excited? Yeah. And I forgot to mention. In this scenario here, precip shield starts moving much more into the Midwest. So these places here, what do we call that? The industrial belt or something? I'm not sure what we call it, but I'm not an expert on that, on all the nicknames of the regions. But these people here need to be watching closely, very closely. But you see that here. So what this does, and the Euro AI doesn't even do it as fully. And I'll also note here, before I get into the next part here, I'm not ready to go into specifics of totals yet. There's too many moving pieces right now of what could happen to discuss that. Too many moving pieces. Way too many moving pieces. Again, let me say before I go into my next point is if you like the in-depth analysis, you wanted the Rust Belt. Thank you, Jack Powers. That's it. If you want to go into the specifics and you want to know the nuances, you want to know you want to get away from the BS. You want No, it's okay, Celtic Supreme. I get it. People want to know. It's fine. It's fine, Celtic Supreme. People are very curious. They want to see if I know what's exactly is going to happen. I just don't know the specifics yet. All I know is I'm leaning towards Mid-Atlantic into southern New England right now, and that would include whatever you want to do into here. That's what it would include. So I would say that some of these places here, thanks to Jack Powers, into the Rust Belt, certainly in play, just like these places here. I just don't think these places here are in line for snow. I just don't see it right now. The subtropical jet is way too active. Okay. Again, I'm giving you a little perspective here for those that are just coming in. If you want to get away from the BS, you want to get away from all that stuff, you just want the analysis, you're interested in the science, maybe in the meteorology. Okay. I like to say I do a decent job at being able to go, a decent job being able to go in depth, but also explain it to you so you understand what I'm looking at. And so this is a spot for you where you can get away from the toxicity of some of those other channels that are out there and just try to enjoy the analysis. That's it. I'm trying to figure out the end result right now. I'm not trying to tell you what models show. If you want to go to the channel that models show, there's plenty of them that do that, and they're going to be wrong every time because models are never fully accurate. My job is to steer you through all of the BS between the hype forecasts and all that stuff out there and try to get you to focus on what I think is actually going to happen. That is my goal. That is my goal. My goal is not to BS you. My goal is to do the best I can to figure out what exactly is going to happen. I am obsessed with putting together the puzzle pieces. Obsessed. And so this winter, we've had pretty good accuracy so far, from the long range, from the medium range into the short range. So I'm going to try my best here to nail this one down because I said it. I put it out on a post earlier. Everybody remembers who got the forecast right for the big one. Everybody does. Not a lot of people remember, though, the 3 to 6 inch event. But I value the 3 to 6 event, getting that right, as much as the 1 to 3 footer. Okay, I value that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it, Twisted. Appreciate it, James, Rich, Jack. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm not the local weather guy. I'm obsessed with forecasting too. Well, then you're in the right spot, Ben. I appreciate it. Obviously, not knowing the specifics. Educated redneck. That is an interesting name, but I am very much appreciative of it. You do a great job. Much love from. I'm gonna avoid saying the first part of that. Verena, North Carolina. So I very much appreciate it so much. Thank you. It's not necessary, but I will definitely answer anybody that puts a super chat. I will definitely answer that right away because if you donate money at all to me, you're a sicko. I mean that in the nicest way. I appreciate it so much. I don't take it for granted. So if you're willing to do that, it really means a lot to me. So I really do appreciate it. And again, I'm going to do my best here. So I'm going to be upfront with you guys too. Fuquay, Verina. Okay. Hopefully I got it close. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I live up here. So initially, I just made forecasts for here. I ended up really enjoying it. I expanded to here, and now it's almost like the entire eastern U.S. I forecast for. But I'll make my snow maps for here. I'm not going to make a snow map for regions down here when I don't have the expertise of the geography and all that stuff there. I am not, because I can't BS you. I can't. That's not my job to make a snow map for regions that I only have visited many times and not lived in. I do not know the ins and outs of the geography like others do, so I'm not going to make snow maps for these places here. My snow map is for Northeast Mid-Atlantic. Maybe it will expand, but for right now, that's what it is. But I will do my best to inform all of you based on what I see with the setup. So that's my specialty, is I can have an idea of what might actually happen with the end result, and be able to relay those to you. Hopefully, that's what I'm going to try to do here. And this is my highest viewed live stream ever, so I appreciate everybody that is in here right now. I don't take it for granted. I will do my best to read all of your chats, and we'll do my best here. I promise you. Anybody that is in here knows you will get the same analysis whether there's 100, 1,000 people, or 10 people in here at the same time. Anybody that's been in here for long enough knows that. So I don't take any of this for granted. So I appreciate it. Now, Clutch Lukey, yeah, I think so. I've seen something of his stuff before, and yeah, Mitch is awesome. I've talked to him a lot. So thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. I'm excited for the potential here too. Now, this leads me to the next part. So if Brady's talking about, I'm going to refer to myself in the third person here. If Brady's talking about this northern branch here and this southern branch, well, what could happen with these then? It's not, if he's just saying farther north, farther south, what then happens? What if it keeps going? What if model guidance were to keep suggesting and keep leaning into that? Because I can't tell you the specifics of that scenario right now. I can only tell you the general idea of what might happen. Because now, anytime you hear the word phase, that just means that these two pieces are coming together. That's all that means. And we'll look at the euro in a second. All that means is these two pieces are going to come together. Now, it could be a partial phase, meaning there's a good stream interaction, but not all of the energy, upper level energy, combined together. Maybe not all of the upper level energy combined together. So that will make it very difficult to max out the ceiling. The ceiling of this setup, I say, is highest for the upper mid-Atlantic into southern New England. Really, especially from about, I would say, even maybe from like Philly to really even into almost central New England. I would say this is the highest ceiling potential. This area right here, and it's for this reason. If this northern piece backs up enough, this would allow the southern piece of upper level energy here to be able to dive further out in head and combine. So now you have more of this potent moisture that's not getting lost and getting brought up into the flow. And at that point, if you're living deep into the south, you almost want this. I'm telling you, you don't want the ice potential in some of these places here. You almost would want this. You almost want this to go further north at this point. I'm having a lot of trouble seeing how this can go so far south so that all of these places here stay all snow. I'm having a lot of trouble seeing that. Stephen Cahill, thank you so much. Great to have someone who can genuinely do the best they can, give us the most honest forecast. Even better, you're local, hoping for a lot of snow. Well, where are you from, Steve? Connecticut, Mass, New England, Northeast, I'm not sure. But I thank you so much. It is not necessary to send me a super chat, but I appreciate it very much. I don't take it for granted. Just trying to do my best here to figure out what's going to try to be as upfront as I can. A lot of people think sometimes there's some brewing behind my posts that I'm trying to like make something more of out of not. I look at something, I see it, I post it. That's how my mindset works. It's very simple. It's a guy's mindset. It's very simplified. I'm telling you, and that's it. There's a lot of innocence with how I post a lot of stuff. And again, just know a lot of times I'm looking at the snow angle of things. I'm trying to see South Shore. Awesome, Stephen. Glad to have you in here. I'm trying to see how could we get snowstorms? How could we get snow and try to point that out? So if I'm not always focusing on when it's not snowing, it doesn't mean that I'm just trying to hype up snow always. I mean, I love the snow. I'm just trying to tell you guys that this is the next period. Because that's really all you care about. You don't really care about the quiet weather. The quiet weather doesn't impact you. The big weather does. And ultimately, I'm self-employed on this, so I can do whatever I want, technically. And I don't have to make a 7-day forecast, a 3-day. I don't have to do that. I can just forecast all the notable storms, and that's what I enjoy doing. So now, back to this. Let's say these two pieces, will the euro bring it in? Let's see here. Oh yeah. Will the euro bring it in? Of course it is. Now, and what I've noticed on all of the 0Z guidance, and this is notable, we had the hurricane hunters in here. So I value that. I value that. I don't always value every model run, but when we get hurt, when we get some real good data to help, I value that. And all of these, I will say it does matter if I'm right or wrong. It does matter a little bit. I got to be accurate. If I weren't as accurate as I am, and I'm not genius, okay? I'm just saying I'm okay. I'm decent, okay? I'm decent. I'm not gonna hype myself up there, but I'm okay. There would not be this many people in here right now, and Gerald would not have me on his lap or any of that. None of that would be happening if I wasn't at least a little bit accurate, at least a little bit. So all I've seen on the 0Z guidance here is they eject this faster, all of it. And I'm pretty sure we had hurricane hunters out there. That is critical. That is critical because that increases your margin for error with this piece here. If you want snow up here, absolutely critical. If you want snow here, not what you want to see. Thank you so much, Bloody. I appreciate it a lot. Bloody is a former pro soccer player, believe it or not, or we should say football for them. I'm excited for the World Cup upcoming, by the way, on a side note. Very excited. USA fan here. So I can't wait. Ticket prices are absurd right now, but I can't wait. I don't think I'm going to be able to go because of how expensive they are, but I can't wait for it to happen. So I appreciate it, Bloody. Thank you so much. But hurricane hunters are in there. This increases the margin for error. Now, if this delays more and this is faster, this increases your snow potential for these areas here. Increases, notably. If this is further back and this is more out in front, this brings everything north. Now, there's a limit because of how strong the confluence is. So you're not going to be able to send the mix line to like central New England or something. Like you can't, this is not a cutter. This is not a cutter. However, there's not much of a limit on how far north this precip shield can get in a sense. Yes, it will be at Gillette too. And so if you are, so there's not really a limit technically. This is a moving high pressure. And the high pressure is strongest and peaks out over here and then moves out. So that's why I'm saying everybody that was saying that this is such a strong surface high and it has to be southern snow. It's way more nuanced. It's way more nuanced of a setup than that. And so at a minimum though, this allows, we keep playing this out, you'll kind of see here. And the euro, oh my. Oh, here we go. Euro is about to explode here. You're about to see it. Because I'd argue this is almost unchanged here. This isn't further back on this run, not too much. But this is further out in front. This is going to be a massive, probably right in here. It may even, I'm not sure. And here's the thing though with this scenario. So let's say we keep moving towards a solution. Let's say we get into the aspect of this storm here. There's a couple different scenarios that I'm leaning towards. In my opinion, it's that these two partially phase, and you still get the precip shield to come. You still get the precip shield, the heavy precip shield to come notably north, but you still get mostly snow across the mid-Atlantic, and especially all snow here. And you get potentially You get front end thump, potentially even into North Carolina, maybe. I couldn't tell you specifics of now. And you would get front end thump Southern Virginia, and you would get maybe it would be like a long duration front end thump. It would be a big thump is what it would be, and then maybe you would mix. But that's the partial scenario, and these are the two scenarios I'm leaning towards. It's hard to get these to fully phase often, so I would lean towards either a partial or a significant partial phase. Well, that's a compliment. I do not have a degree in meteorology, at least maybe I will consider at some point. I self-taught this to myself. So for the better part of, really for the most part, less than a decade now. It's been really mostly the past 7 to 8 years. I've really gone in depth on this stuff. I was kind of just a late bloomer for this. And now I'm before that I was just measuring snow and and following the big storms that would happen. But and now I was obsessed with figuring out how to get this stuff right. That was really it. And we are where we are now. But I took some meteorology classes as well, so it's not like I didn't do anything. It's just very it's a lot of complexities, and I really enjoy putting the puzzle pieces together here. And the euro is about to go insane here. I mean, that's a full phase. Like I was saying, there's not necessarily a limit on how far north this would go here. You can see that on the precipitate, or you can't see it, but you can kind of get the sense here. But you see what you have here? You still have this confluence piece up here, but that's pretty far north. This euro run is probably going to bring it pretty far north. I'd be skeptical based to see if it get that far, just because this is almost as never clean. What happens in these time frames is almost never as clean as it ends up being. I'm not ignoring anybody. I can only see so many questions. So I apologize if I didn't see your question, but I would not assume that I'm not ignoring anybody. So, but man, this euro run is gonna, yeah. And this is the scenario here. So so we talked about the first part, partial. If you do get a full phase here, which this was pretty much almost is. Okay, the euro is actually not. It's limited, right? It's limited. Okay, I was right. The confluence here, the confluence limits this from being a full-on cutter. So that really is hard to happen, and the piece coming in from behind. So it would be really hard. I know some people start going to that immediately, and when I said there's not a limit, but there is a limit in a sense here, because then look what happens. Anytime we see that, that's a blizzard right there, and that's way far to the northeast. And so if you are to get a full phase, what you do, or at a minimum, is, so you get the initial stuff to go here. You get the initial overrunning snow all throughout here, right? You see this convection all probably throughout here. You get that, and then what you'll get, and then we'll come further north too, it will. And then you'll get, and then look what happens. Now this piece, so all of this is happening. This is why I say the highest ceiling is mid-Atlantic, I would say northeast, just New England, is because now you've done all that overrunning precip that gets out ahead, and this still has to come through. All of this still has to come through. And so look what's going to, I wonder if the preset map will get far enough, but we'll show you 700. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Let's not crap on each other in the chat either. This is not a toxic environment. So if you don't assume everybody's always looking to start stuff and you're in the chat. So this is a space for you to relax and chill about the weather, not get offended if about stuff as soon as you want. So let's make that clear. But here at 700, notice there's all that overrunning. So right here, all of this, moderate to heavy snow in very cold temperatures, all throughout here on this specific run. All of that happens. And then take a look. Look what happens. All of this still now needs to move through. All of this. So you get a redevelopment of the low pressure here, way back here. I'm not tired of everybody asking questions. I'm not. I don't assume that, NC player, okay? Okay, we like you very much, but we just don't. Well, let's just try not to start stuff, okay? Let's keep it very civil always. You don't need to go. Nobody needs to go at each other. Nothing like that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, wondering. Hopefully, this is what I'm talking about here, Stephen. The secondary development, and yes, NSF, WWX. Yes, Billy is. He's. I don't know. I'm not sure. He's had a lot of stuff going on. I'm not sure how many people know that in his personal life, but that's probably why. And so, if this is why the highest ceiling is there, and it's not showing yet because the preset map is always delayed. But what's going to happen here is you're going to get more and more snow that just rots out after the initial here. You see that? You see that? Look, all of this gets here. All of this still has to move through. Because now you're getting a phase. And this takes a while. And eventually it gets here. This could turn into a long duration storm. And if that's the case here, this turns into this. Look how cold you are. This is why too. We're going to go, let's dive into why the ceiling, okay? Let's segue here into why the ceiling is so high for so many places. And not just potentially Maryland can't be ruled out for mixing, but I think Maryland still is in a very good spot here to get a good amount of snow. Regardless, I'm telling you, you need to, some people in the mid-Atlantic here and even into maybe North Carolina, maybe, and into the mid-South, they need to get away from if you mix and how much snow you still get on the front end. Regardless, or if the front end, the big end, whatever you want to call it here, whatever you want to call it. So take a look. The ceiling is so high because look where all of your main upper level energy is. This is all overrunning. So remember how last Saturday was overrunning snow? This is just that times a lot. This is that with a massive infuse of subtropical moisture and even deep Arctic air, even more, much more Arctic air. So look what you do here at the upper air temperatures. Look how cold you are. So yeah, you're gonna mix actually all the way. You see the mix line here comes all the way up into here. That's where the mix line goes. Oh, wait, well, 700s could be farther. Let me check. Nope, it's 850. 925s are fine. 850. So, but that's not. You don't. I'm telling you, do not focus on that because sure that maybe limits the ceiling, and that's why some places, some places here. Again, my man, NC player, just trust me. Just stop trying to just enjoy the analysis. Trust me. Just try to enjoy the analysis. Do not assume everybody is always attacking you. Trust me. Could we see mixing? I mean, I guess you could in theory, but there's no reason to discuss like, the specifics of the mixing line right now. There's no reason to. Is because you still look at this cold air. So this is why when I'm discussing the ceiling here, you're getting this warm infuse of moisture and warm air here. You see this? All of this infuse here. All of this gets pulled up. To meet this deep Arctic air. Arctic cold air. And so this gets the potential here, man, it is very high. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it, NC player. I'm telling you, there's almost nobody in here who's trying to start stuff with you. I promise, and the same for other people. But just I want you to wrap your head around because it's about the duration. It's not about being in one band forever. It's not like a big thing all the way up the East Coast. But it's such an overrunning. There's so much overrunning precip out ahead. This is all. Look at this. All of this snow you see here is when these two pieces are like this. So these two still have to come together. And this would be the ceiling. If these two fully phase, this is your ceiling right here. These places all the way back into here. And it would be your highest ceiling. If you partially phase, like the Euro AI, you see the difference? So that almost gets it all the way out in front, almost. But you see, you still leave behind a lot of this. And I would lean a little bit more towards that than the Euro. Just for now. It's not that it's impossible. It's not that it's impossible. Yeah, some of those ice storms in the Carolinas can get awful, and the potential is certainly there with this one as well. So keep that in mind that some of these long-range runs can go off a little bit once they get into a scenario that's not always the most accurate. But even if you get a partial phase, look, all of this upper level energy before the overrunning still has to move through. And so look I'll just show you the precipitation map here. You see what happens? You get a coastal redevelopment. And then now it's almost like an inverted trough to an extent, but you just rot out in cold temperatures, man. Cold temperatures. Right, and you can kind of see why this is not, if you were to fully phase, why this can't just run into here, because now the high pressure is locked in. But this is before it was moving. You see that? Moving high pressure, and then after the high pressure gets locked in. So it's still moving to an extent. So this could get pushed some out of the way. Reminds me a little bit of December 2020, where we had a big high in, but it was confluent. It could get bullied a little bit. Now, I'm not saying this is December. It's not the same setup as December 2020. I'm just showing you. I'm not even going to go into if mixing. If you want to get theoretical, sure, mixing could happen. There's a scenario where mixing could be happening, but there's not. I'm telling you, it's not even worth right here discussing the mixing. It's not even worth. Maybe far south here, maybe, but it's just not even worth discussing until we get the specifics of the upper levels down. I'm telling you, we got to be patient here. But you would be cold if you this whole time that's why I'm saying the ceiling here, and this is a storm too, where if you don't clear a space and you just measure your snow depth consistently, you're not going to get an accurate measurement here. It will compact. High ratio snow compacts. So you got to make sure you clear your space, whatever, every 6 to 12 hours, or somewhere hopefully within there. So you can make sure with this long duration event, you're going to want to do that. Doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter where you live. That applies to everywhere for measuring snow. If you have a snowboard, that's fine. If you have a grassy area, you have a table, whatever you use to measure your snow, clear it after 6 to 12 hours. It's not mine. It's the NWS recommendation. That's what they recommend is best for for measuring the snowfall. But if you just sit there and wait like 36 hours, you're just gonna get the snow depth of whatever area you're measuring on. Won't be a fully accurate depiction. Some can wait, it's whatever, but you know, that's it. But I want to show the cold. I want to show you guys. That's the 0 degree line, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. Look where the 0 degree line is there. A little bit of a coastal front too, looks like, in southeastern Mass. Interesting. On that run, but look at that. Look how cold you are. I'll zoom out just a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. So you can see here, you're still in the 20s. All of these places. Let me check again. Temperatures. That's from the backside. All ice. All ice. All of it. Ice, 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 ice. Warm tongue sticking out. Ice, 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 ice. All of it. All of it. Freezing rain. Freezing rain. Probably freezing rain. All of it. Meanwhile, to the north, look what you're doing while you're snowing here. You are in the single digits. The single digits up here. Single digits. And snowing. Well. And you're in the teens along the coast because you have a little bit of a flow off the ocean. That's how prevalent the cold is. I mean, we're going to get cold with this here. It's going to be cold out ahead. You see how cold we are out ahead? Locked in. People going below freezing up here in the northeast, upper plains here. But all these places here, this is a ridiculously high ratio snow. Even further south, it's a high ratio snow still. It's just the warm tongue is closer and you're relying more on just heavy rates. A long duration snow, I don't care how heavy you're snowing. If this is just a moderate snow for 36 hours in these places here, you'll stack up double digits easily into southern New England. Easily. I mean, it's going to be, I can't remember the last time I've seen it be how cold it's going to be and potentially snow. And you'd think, is that too cold to snow? No, because look what we discussed here. Now, maybe that's not fully accurate. We'll see. But look here. Look at 500 millibars again. Look at this. This is your confluence piece up here. There's no reason the precip shield can't get that far north. That's the precip shield. Now the heaviest a little bit further south. And my voice got very high there for a second, but I just, trying to deliver the message. Look at that. You see, look at the precip shield does get that. The precip shield gets into freaking Canada. Gets into Canada. So this is not necessarily just about heavy snow. It's about the duration. Listen, this will be, as long as you don't wait until the very end, whoever gets snow into these places, it will be easy removal. Just don't wait. That's the worst thing you can do. Break it up. Always break it up. But just to get you a sense of the QPF here, and you can see the trend on guide. I'll zoom out a little bit for my people down south. You can look at the trend on guidance here. And you can see the last run, the difference. Almost an inch of QPF into southern New England there. Now let me get I wish I could go, because I mean some of this is from this week. So there's a takeoff maybe like 0.1 for some of these places. But you can get the sense here. That's 24-hour increments here. If you get that, let's see. How much? This is the 10-to-1 map, so don't take it for granted here, or don't take it too seriously. But this is a reminder: if you get, let's say, let's say 0.8 of an inch of QPF, that could be 20 inches of snow in this setup. It really could be. That's all you're going to need to get that much snow of a storm total. Now your snow depth may not end up being that. It will still be pretty high. But that's just an example of how much storm total you could get here. So again, I don't really like showing showing all this stuff, because they kind of they sometimes aren't an accurate depiction. And the euro then holds on to that precip even longer. So you can see here on the surface map, it's going to look, the euro right now is New England's dream. Because look here, all of that has to move out then. That's not, you're almost certainly, I doubt you would mix here. But all of that has to move out then. All of that. You see that? That's the coastal redevelopment aspect. But look, let's say this were to happen. You would still get dumped on. Look at this. Even if it were to happen, you would still maybe get some overrunning snow out ahead here. You would still get some snowfall. Mid-Atlantic, you would get crushed. You would get crushed in the Mid-Atlantic, and then eventually you would go to ice. And then from New York City to Boston to Portsmouth to Albany, Scranton, State College, Philly would too. You'd mix briefly, but not after damage done. And let's look at the I'll show you the 10-to-1. The Kachera is going to look ridiculous. Yeah. And that doesn't even count for a lift. If you have lift in the dendritic growth zone here, the Kachera may not even account for that. And all of this is lake effect here. So just going to show. I think right now I'm leaning against this 12Z GFS. I'm leaning towards a complete miss on those two pieces. Leaning towards it. I'm leaning towards a partial or full phase, and leaning more towards either a partial or a heavy partial. Yeah, I'm telling you, because the ice doesn't, look at the surface temperatures on the Euro. We'll show them. The Euro was a full phase, by the way, pretty much. Euro AI is a partial phase. It's a notable partial phase, but still a partial. Now let me go to here. I'll go to the recent Euro. Now I'll show you the P-type map. I'm not going to go to this one. I'm going to go to this one here. Look at that. So look at the warm nose way up here. Gets into the mid-Atlantic eventually. I want surface temps. Look at that. Ice, 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 ice. Not ice. Ice, ice, all ice. Lots of it. Sleet or freezing rain. Further north probably has a little bit more sleet potential. But let's see what the warm nose is. A bigger warm nose, a larger warm nose means it's going to be harder. Yeah. A 10-degree warm nose. If your warm nose is that big in these places, huge freezing rain potential. It's going to have a tough time refreezing. Now, this could be more sleet. Let's see. I mean, all these places here. I would say this would be sleet, and this would all be freezing rain. If not rain at that point. Yep, you would still be, even at that point, you would still be flirting with freezing rain all back into here. You better be hoping and praying some of these numbers don't verify. This is probably the most concerned I've been with an ice potential storm in terms of how widespread and how big the impacts could be in probably years. It's been a while. It's been a minute. You could make a place at some localized places. Now, some localized regions have had past couple of years have had some pretty bad ones, but this is you're gonna somewhere's gonna remember this, and not in a good way. This is gonna be a prolific ice setup. This is a very concerning ice setup. And there's no way to spin it. It's not hype. It's not. It's just. You need to start. I'm telling you, prepare now. Because you've seen a model run can go this far north. Like the Euro's maybe the most far north and northeast. And again, we made it clear it's not just north and south. There's some variation with the phase aspect of this. See, the Euro's even colder than the Euro AI to start Friday. And then the CAD signature kicks in. Maybe some severe weather potential up into here. That'd certainly be better than ice. I mean, you'd still maybe ice in some of these places. It's just, that's where you're pulling in the warm air. And then look at the CAD signature. You need to start making So if we're just, especially on a model guidance this far north, this gives us a good this. I love showing this, not in the what it could do, just in the aspect of this will help. As I need to get another cough drop. My voice is deteriorating, but it goes to show that the ice potential doesn't matter how north and south this goes. I know that's what we've divided it into. But it's more complex than that, as we showed. All of these places here need to be preparing. Now, the warm nose may save Tennessee here. May save Tennessee. You would probably still be freezing rain there, but it's harder to accumulate freezing rain if you're in the low 30s and 32. Freezing rain usually accumulates better when you're in the 20s, especially heavy precip. Not that you don't get some ice accretion. It's just a little bit less prevalent. I mean, we could extend it further south or further west. You'd get ice to start here at least. All these places here. You need to start making preparations. You need to start making preparations here. Okay, there's going to be massive ice potential. It's not blown out of proportion. Massive ice potential. You may go to rain. If you're lucky, you can get that warm nose to climb. If you're lucky. This is the farthest north that you could really get it to go here. I guess in theory you could, theoretical, but we're not speaking in theoretical. North Carolina, South Carolina, North Georgia, Northern Alabama, Northern Mississippi, Arkansas. Look what you do on the backside. Look how cold we get on the backside too. Frigid. You might get below freezing in Florida here. It's cold on the backside here. Cold. Cold, cold, cold. No matter what happens with the storm systems after. Days, maybe weeks, you would potentially have without power. You need to prepare like that. You need to prepare like that. The infrastructure down south is not as supportive. I'm telling you right now, you need to prepare as such. This is not about making you worry. It's not about making you fear. It's making sure you're safe and prepared. You need to have food, drink, whatever you need to do, and think about what you don't think about just what you need for necessities. Think about what the stuff you need that keeps your mental health in check as well for all those days. Think about stuff you need that you usually get from the store or whatever, and stock up on that stuff. No, we don't want anybody to suffer. And I don't think you mean that either. But when should we start preparations in North Jersey? By Thursday? Yeah, I think Jersey, North Jersey especially, you're not really worrying about the ice potential here, so this will be pretty straightforward. Assuming we were to get snow out of this, all snow, you gotta just do the normal big snowstorm preparations if we are to convert this here. There's still a scenario where the streams could miss and you would get this to force further south. but I'm not leaning towards that. I would say 70. I would lean more towards like a 70% chance, right? Go to almost 2 out of 3. Really 3 out of 4 if you consider the partial phase as well. That mid-Atlantic, southern New England, these places here. And I mean, some totals there would be big totals maybe into here too. I'm just saying. That's where I'd be looking. If you get scenario number 3, you open up big snow potential into these places here. That's what I'm saying. It's more nuanced than just north or south. It is, but it isn't. A lot more going on than that. Now, it seems like the euro is going to show another storm after here. And it does. That's our Japan teleconnection right there. Keep an eye on that. Been, noticed it since yesterday. So January 20th, we noticed it. Usually 8 to 14 days it can be. Sometimes a little bit more or less. 8 to 14-ish days. And that lines up right in that time frame. And then we have another Bering Strait teleconnection for first week of February. Active pattern. Nope, not that. Thoughts on southern New Hampshire? You're in play here for the snow aspect of this, no doubt, Bobby. You're in play. Yeah, we can look at the Euro AI and Euro Ensemble. I'm so sorry I've missed so many chats tonight. I'm usually, if you super chat, I promise I'll read it. I don't want to make it so that you have to feel like you need to do that, but I'm making that clear that I promise if you do that, I will not miss your chat. And channel members as well, I'll try to show some priority to that because you're showing extra effort, and I have to show that back as because I can't take that for granted. Reason why models went north today was because of the subtropical jet. No, the main reason, in my opinion, is this piece right here. Right here. This guy. This guy further back. I'll show you the Euro AI. You can see it more clearly. Yeah, ratios are going to be high. Oh, Stephen Cahill, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look at the difference. 06 was actually closer. But here we go. OZ. 0Z. You see that? That's where we were last night this time. Now take a look. The subtropical jet, look at it. Same place 0Z last night. So what we saw, is just give some perspective. This is further back. And those are the main changes you've seen on the rest of a lot of guidance today. And also this piece here with this storm having a little bit higher height lines. The less this presses down initially, the more the precip shield overrunning expands northward. And honestly, these two are connected in a sense that if this piece is a little bit farther northeast, that makes it easier for height lines to rise and easier for this to lift north and easier for this to come together. So you see how this is just a little bit higher? A little bit, barely. And that matters more for these places. This matters more for how far initially the overrunning gets. But this defines how far north the precip field gets initially. Again, thank you so much, Stephen. The warm upper level temps will be bad for southern New England. I don't think you're going to be that warm here in southern New England. Your upper level temps, no temps are going to be warm here with this system. None. Central New Jersey, mostly ice? I don't think so. I don't think Central Jersey will be mostly ice. I don't think so at all. I think you'll be mostly snow in Central Jersey, regardless. Or even if you were to go, let's say you were to get a little bit of ice, that's not before you get dumped on with snow. Same with the Mid-Atlantic. Oh, awesome. Educated redneck. What amount of ice do you suspect we will see around Raleigh? Is there a chance it will that I'm assuming you're talking about the warm air will push far enough north and will not see as much ice? It's possible. It's possible. But I really think Raleigh is not in a good spot for the ice potential, meaning it is technically. Or as our boy Ocho says, Raleigh. Raleigh is I'm having trouble seeing Central Carolina, northern North Carolina. I'm really having trouble seeing a way that, I mean, almost all of these places here. I'm having trouble finding a way that you don't see notable ice with this storm. I'm almost certain it would take something drastic compared to my opinion. Not only the model guidance, it would take something drastic based on what I'm seeing now with current observations, especially too, and the setup at hand. Along with model guidance as a third tool, you combine that, I'm having trouble finding a way that North Carolina does not get a massive ice storm out of this. When I mean massive, I mean over a half inch of ice, potentially easily, potentially. I don't know what some of these numbers look like here. And these are going to be overdone, so don't buy these. It's almost not worth showing, but I'm going to cut them in half, whatever you see here at least. And that would be, don't focus on up here. Cut these in half. And that would be more realistic. But if you get a half inch to an inch of ice, everything shuts down. Everything shuts down. Heck, even a quarter inch of ice, a quarter to half inch of ice would be, now it wouldn't be a major, but it would cause some problems. I see your super chat, David. I'll answer in a second. I'm just trying to give a good answer for my man who just super chatted before you as well, Mr. Redneck. So don't worry. I see your super chat as well. I'm just trying to, for anybody that gives a super chat, I try to give you the best answer possible, because I feel like if you spend any of your hard-earned money on something towards like this, I feel like I'm obligated to try to give you a decent answer. But okay, cut this. Anytime you see these freezing rain stuff, cut them in half. Even if it's a little conservative, cut them by about 50 to 60%. Anytime you see these maps. So if you see these maps posted on Facebook or X or whatever, don't mind it. Don't mind it. Yes, could it be a massive ice storm? Yes, but these always overdo it a little bit. You can look at any of the maps; they're going to show big ice. And the GFS just shows it a little bit farther south. And the Canadian, shows it as well. Even then, this would be brutal, right? The Canadian actually is sometimes a little bit better with the ice stuff. The RGM is actually the short range model of it is actually pretty good, but this gives you some perspective here. Okay. Let's say you cut these by 60% still. Let's just say. Oh, what would that get us to? 0.6 times an inch will get you about 0.6. So it would be a lot of right here. It would be about a third of an inch to maybe 2/3 of an inch of ice all across these regions, let's say. And this might be a lower range. We'll see. Take a look in some of the Appalachians here. That's even higher. The reason the Appalachians, you don't get any advantage with the elevation is because your elevation is where the warm nose is. So that does not necessarily help you. In fact, it may actually, some places it could take away from your ice potential. And that wouldn't be a bad thing. But not before you have so much cold air locked in already. And so the ice potential is also going to be prevalent for these places here. And it goes back farther south too. The reason why you're seeing, here's where I will agree about the high pressure. Well, United States. The reason I will agree about the high pressure pressing here is because look, the ice map shows it the best here. Yeah, this is where your high pressure presses. Not as much here. You can look at the ice map and you can see it clear as day. This shows it clear as day. That sure, it will press here. So you'll get the snow potential into these places here. And you'll still get some overrunning into the northern edge of the ice. Anywhere you see on the northern edge of the ice, you'll probably get some overrunning snow. And it could be a lot. But Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, North Alabama, North Georgia, even into South Carolina potentially, especially North Carolina. Southern Virginia is at play too. Maybe Kentucky. We'll see. Ice storm potential is real. Tennessee as well. I heard some people mention the UCMET earlier. We can just show it as another model run. I don't think the UCMET, oh, it's still loading out, but let's see, the NAM, Ben. I mean, the long-range NAM is not going to be the one to use for this. It's probably going to want to phase this every time, but the NAM would have been the Euro just a little bit further south, barely, a little bit. See that? That's the NAM, or that's the GFS. See that? The NAM is probably an in-between of the GFS and the Euro. But this is 80. Anytime you're 84 hours out and the run still hasn't happened here yet, you gotta be careful using this model. The only reason you could maybe use it is for tonight with the hurricane hunter data, what it was going to do with the Baja Low. That's really all I looked at the NAM for tonight. And the northern branch a little bit, but you got to be careful with some of the meso models. AIFS ensemble here, we can take a look at that as well. So this is the ensemble unit. If you don't know what the ensemble is, it's all of the, imagine it made the original model, imagine it changed up, imagine if you're coding, and if you're coding, right, you have to put in a specific prompt. each ensemble member is they just messed with a few of the variables in the prompt, and they made another one and another one and another one, so that they can account for all of these scenarios, hopefully, to help better account for potential scenarios. North of Atlanta is in a concerning spot for ice potential here. I would say so. Rapala, how we doing? Oh, my man David, sorry. What are we looking to get in Toms River, New Jersey? Hopefully you're saying this, David. In Toms River, New Jersey, I would favor a lot of snow right now. It being mostly snow to all snow. If you, let's say in theory, you were to mix, that would not be before you get a ton of snow. Okay. So let's see here. Hopefully that if you want me to go more in depth, I can, but hopefully that provides an idea. I'd be preparing for mostly snow. As the biggest takeaway from the event. Is a chance snow shifting further south at all? I'm in Southwest Mississippi. No, Catwoman, you don't need to worry about snow at all in Southwest Mississippi. In fact, if you're lucky, you may not have to worry about that much frozen precipitation at all. If you're lucky, you can avoid the ice potential down there. Not guaranteed, though. Educated Redneck, thank you so much again. So then basically, Mother Nature hates North Carolina, said we aren't getting any measurable snow unless it's on the front end of it all, impossible the back. Even the back end would be a little bit of a stretch there, but the system here is it's going to be tough for North Carolina to stay mostly snow. It's not impossible. It's just, we said it on the video last night or earlier this morning, whenever you want to say it. We said it about 24 hours ago. Mid-Atlantic into southern New England, in my opinion, was where I was leaning. And I did not have a lot of, listen, I didn't have a lot of support when I said that either. There was not a lot of model support when I was leaning that way. There was not. So that's to give an idea. Good thing I did a super chat. Got a shout out, but no answer. I thought I did give you an answer. I mean, I can't really tell you the exact specifics of how much snow you're going to see this far out. But let's just say for you, I mean, anybody that sees all snow with this is probably in line to at least see double-digit snow potential out of this. So you're not. It's going to be very hard, even unless you're on the northern fringe. Whoever's maybe on the very far part of the northern fringe, it's probably going to be a lot of, just because of how high ratio the snow is. It's pretty good double-digit potential here. So hopefully, you know, I mean, I can't tell you the exact number this far out, but hopefully that helps a little bit. Areas north of Atlanta see. You are reading that post. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could areas north of Atlanta see a bit of snow on the end or the start like this? I don't think Atlanta is in line for any snow here, unfortunately for you waffles. Atlanta could see ice, but I don't think snow. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's not where I'm leaning at this point. Now, take a look at that change here on the AIFS ensembles. See that? What does it show? Shows a more notable phase here. All of the members, not just the operational now, all of these different members here of the ensemble showing this piece further back and this piece further northeast. What does that result in? More snow for these places. Just like we were talking about. And you'll see it. This will be an averaged and mean preset map. And it's not out yet, so we can't, officially show it. Yeah, even north of Atlanta I know not Atlanta proper. Even north of Atlanta, just might be even more into the ice threat. Do you think this keeps trending north? There's a limit. There's a limit. Because you can only run through the high pressure so much, even though it's a moving high pressure. There's a limit to that. But it has to do with the confluence. So initially, you can only go so far north. But notice how it breaks up. At that point, here's your opening. The precip shield can expand here, and all these places into here could get notable snowfall at that point on the second part of the system. Atlanta, listen, if you're Atlanta, you got to hope that it's more rain than ice. But I'm just saying you could get some ice in Atlanta with this. See what the Euro ensemble looking like here. Does a phase mean a trough? I'm not sure I understand your question, Ben. A trough and a phase are not the same thing. A trough is this, right? Your ridge is your high pressuring. You look for low pressures around the troughs. So that's just what a trough is. Trough, you see the dip in the jet stream here? That's just your trough. If I draw one myself, that's not actually on the map. I'm just drawing one. My operational model for Raleigh, I've lived there for 20 compared to this podcaster. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, but I'll take it. I'll give you my take. Ask him to put his take at this point. I'm not trying to tell you the specifics of ice in Raleigh. You got to relax a little bit, NC player. Like it is very, very intense a lot. We gotta ease up a little bit here. We gotta ease up a little bit. Right? We can't be just looking to start stuff here. We gotta ease up a little bit. So I'm not looking. I don't think there's any point where I said I'm trying to forecast exactly how much ice in Raleigh is going to happen. Thanks for the info. I appreciate it. Of course. Thank you, Nick. You think the models are underestimating the density of the cold air? It's hard to say at this point. Couldn't tell you, but it's hard to say. Even at the Euro ensemble, take a look at the difference between the Euro ensemble. Yeah, actually, it's not that far off. That part it is a little bit. It's close, but the Euro ensemble isn't necessarily as far north as the Euro operational. It's mainly accounting for a little bit more. Oh, that's the Euro ensemble. That's the Euro operation. You can see the Euro operation a little bit more amplified, but this is also a mean. So keep in mind that this is a mean of all the members here. But it leaves a little bit behind. So it's not a full phase, but it's a heavy, it ends up getting pretty close to a full phase. And you see the blue there, that's just a trough bend. If I'm looking here, if I'm looking at just the Euro, I'd be looking right along here. If I was just looking at 500 heights, that's where I'd be looking. No, we all get excited. Just we keep it loose in here. We don't try to get too intense with the talkage. That's not really a word, but when can we start to trust snowfall totals? How about after the storm happens? That's when we can that's when we can trust snowfall totals. Thank you, NC player. That's that I'm just joking, but listen, in reality, as we get within a 2 to 3 days of the system, we're gonna have a better idea of the snow potential. It's just I'm looking at the end result and I'm thinking about it. You have to understand where I'm in my mind. I know, you'd see the snowfall maps and they're impressive, but I'm not even sure they're as impressive as they could be, because I'm thinking about it. If you're well saturated and you have some lift in the dendritic growth zone, assuming so, and you're snowing at, let's say 5 to 15 degrees for 36 plus hours, I'm doing the math in my head, and the snowfall totals, not the snow depth, but the snowfall totals would be extremely impressive, especially when you consider the initial moisture source that happens in this here too. I'll show you. Southern Maryland is in a fantastic spot, in my opinion, to see a lot of snow. DJ Slankman, this is your storm. I'm telling you right now. You could get some ice, certainly could be, but you need to. This is your system here to get a lot of snow. Mid-Atlantic is in a fantastic spot to get a lot of snow, in my opinion. In Northern Virginia could get I forget who said that, but could get a lot of snow as well. And maybe it is the highest ceiling. Maybe it is. Maybe the snowfall rates are so intense in these areas for long enough that maybe this is. I'm just thinking about it from this perspective, that the duration of the storm, along with the specifics and how long and how cold you are up into here, I'm just thinking about it, and man, that's where the light, the bells are, whatever you want to say, that's where they're turning on. I mean, just because you mix, it doesn't mean you still can't get over a foot of snow with this. Okay, keep that in mind. Some places could get a ton of ice, but not before they get a lot of snow. So keep that in mind with this setup. I'm pretty stoked the way this is looking as of now. Oh, South Shore, I think you said, Steven. Yeah. I mean, I'd be hard pressed right now if I'm living from now. Again, I'm not sure the full phase is the most likely scenario here. It's very tough to see a full phase in this scenario, in my opinion. It's possible, and if it is, we'll be looking at a historic snowstorm. And even if we don't, this could still be an historic snowstorm for some places, just maybe not as widespread, big of a totals for some places. Yeah, December 2020 is a good example of that. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting a lot of ice, there's no reason to be all that stoked with this setup. So, I'm in Northern Virginia, not far from Southern Maryland. We're gonna get blockbuster. I would be careful guaranteeing it, but I'm not necessarily disagreeing that I really do think Mid-Atlantic has the most margin for error from a snow potential. Just doesn't mean it doesn't mean they won't see ice though. It doesn't mean that. But from a snow potential standpoint, out of all of the several scenarios we discussed here, whether it was a partial phase, a heavy partial phase, meaning more than just in between a full phase and a partial phase, and then a complete miss of the two pieces here. If this misses with whatever comes down from here, you would still get a good amount of snowfall. You get good snowfall here, but especially still from here to probably here. And maybe not even that. Maybe it'd be a little farther north, but that's kind of what I'm that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Like this, like down here, like south of southern New England, may see the heaviest rates for the longest time. But the most snow, in my opinion, the highest ceiling for the most snow could be in these places here because of the coastal redevelopment situation. And how cold you're going to be. Keep that in mind. You see that? You see how long? Like, you're done in the mid-Atlantic at that point. And you're still snowing in these places here. For hours. Maybe a day after the main stuff moves through. And again, look how cold you are. You see that? You don't see it yet, but you'll see in a second. This is the ensemble mean. That's your 0 degree line on ahead of this system. 0. All below 0. Adirondacks, -10 to -20 degrees Saturday night. Northern New England, northern Maine, which is part of northern New England, -10 to -20 degrees. Not the apparent temperature, the actual temperature. Look what you're doing while you're snowing. Snow, 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 snow. Still snow. You're doing all of that while some places don't get above the teens. The reason, anybody following the lake effect that happened here, I pulled some soundings. They were one of the most intense. Oh, crap. Big super chat. Let me read that in 1 second. I'll read that in 1 second. Big super. I didn't even see it. Sorry. I'll read that in 1 second. 1 second. I promise I'll read it. But the reason, you guys see that big lake effect that happened? Did you see the temperatures? Look, I'll show you what's happening right now. There's big lake effect going on. I think like 2 to 4 feet of snow maybe. Look at the temperatures. Near single digits off the lakes here. You see that? And right here. And that's why those ratios are so impressive. First of all, you have so much lift in the dendritic growth zone. It makes for insane ratios when you're that cold. But when you're cold and you're well saturated, the snowfall is impressive. Okay, let me get to the super chat here. I'm not sure there's anything that says here. Arthur Gillis. You did not say anything. I wish you would have. But I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you, Arthur Gillis. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. That is, I don't take any of that for granted. I'm not sure why I feel. I don't mean this in a you're unresponsible. I mean this in a uncertainty for how you could see me and want to give that much. But I don't take it for granted, so I appreciate it very much. Yep, and that's a good point, NC player. As I work through some of, we're gonna work together, NC player. We're gonna self-help together here. But yeah, but it's a good. Make sure you stock up on food and water and medications as well. Make sure your medications you have all you need. I forgot to mention that. It's a good point. Make sure you have your medications if you're in the ice potential here. What are we thinking for NYC? I think NYC is in a pretty good spot here for snow potential. Euro starts with snow in southern Connecticut with temps around 10. Yeah. So this is why I'm saying the Kachera maps may not even do it justice. They might not even do it justice. Look at the euro too. We'll go zoom out a little bit. There's a lot of agreement there. That's a lot of agreement. Now, the Euro ensemble, we know last time, wasn't its finest. But you have to remember, every setup is different. That's not me wish casting. You guys know, I don't have much expectations. Not that I don't think I'm not going to get a lot of snow living in southern New England. It's just that I'm limiting expectations close to pinpoint what's exactly going to happen. I'm forecasting in a mode way that's focusing on everybody else, literally, but myself, on purpose, because I don't even want to flirt with right now talking about my specific area, because then you start getting excited. You start, it's just you want to stay away from that. I just want to get you the forecast for what it is. But that's a lot of agreement. And you can see the heaviest of the snow may not necessarily be in southern New England, New York City. Long Island, it may not be. Long Island's in a great spot for this too, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Stocked up on firewood. Yeah, if you need to stock up on firewood, that's very helpful. Is this storm still tracking south? The models are definitely not heading south with it. Seems like sleet and ice in Houston. Let me take a look at Houston, actually. I can do that. This is expanding further and further south and west by the day. But admittedly, I'm not a Houston weather expert, so do not rely on me as any gospel for this. Just keep that in mind. But let me go to, let's see. Canadian or the Euro? I just want to, when looking at the ice, might as well show the guidance that's further north and east, because then at a minimum, that lets you know that those places are in line. Because further south, obviously, you would be in line. I don't mind showing the P-type map for this, but Houston, it's so fun to say Houston, we have a problem always. I don't know why. You could get lucky. You could get lucky. You could get lucky in Houston. If the warm nose is so strong, now, but here's the thing. Look how strong the high pressure is to the north here. You're going to tell me these surface temps are not going to want to continue to dive in these places here? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Now, Houston being on the coast, it might be helpful. But keep an eye on it. I'm not going to lie, that's a forecast that I wouldn't really think we have the answer to yet. But you may have a chance to stay all rain in Houston if you're lucky. And this will be a good test for the new infrastructure in across Texas here after the 2021 disaster that happened. Lynchburg, Virginia. I know, but I don't know where that is. So. I don't like just searching up people's towns, but in cities. But I think if I remember correctly, you're on the elevation there, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. Like you're close to the Appalachians, maybe, but oh yeah, let me see. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was close, not quite. But yeah, you're. I think you could get a lot of snow out of this system there. I really think you could. I think you have some ice concern as well. And here are the pretty colors for those that like it. You could still get a ton of, like, even the Euro on this solution here. you would still get a potent amount of snowfall. Just maybe not the most. Mid-Atlantic too. I mean, you get a ton of snowfall. You see that? Give some perspective. Again, these aren't the end-all be-all, but it just gives you an idea. You could see a lot of snow. And I don't think the Kuchera maps could do justice for the secondary part of this system here. And I'm not even sure, to be honest, that the Euro on this phase here was as clean as it could be. And I'm not sure it positioned perfectly. I'll show you here. See that? It kind of runs itself too far north and has to suppress itself. It heads up too early. You almost want this further south, so this can have more room to breathe. Watch what it ends up doing with the upper level low. You see that? It ends up absolutely crushing eastern Maine into Canada there. You see that? Crushing. Because of how cold the temps are. So much. Now you see that? And then it turns into a strong storm. So this is, I've seen the B word thrown around there. This is your only chance for the blizzard stuff. Is if you get the coastal redevelopment to happen here on the backside, then you could throw her on the B word. That's the only potential. And I don't honestly, this Euro, I don't think even the Euro shows the full potential here. It does, but it doesn't. I'm telling you, these maps we're gonna be looking at soon, eventually here. Look at the 850 banding. See how intense that is? And 700 too. 700 may not even be the most important here. Right here, 850 might be, with how cold you're going to be in the column. And I also wonder too is, on some of these runs, let's say if we were, whoa, a little too far. I wonder in one of these runs is, does the Euro get too much out ahead and not enough here of the upper level energy? I don't know. And then the Euro does its fun time after. How about the winds? Any strong gradient? Oh, okay, we just talked about that. I live near RDU, International Airport, Raleigh. What's going to happen for us? I'm very concerned about the ice potential there. Very concerned. Now, you could see snow. You could. Maybe some overrunning is possible. And maybe you do. Maybe these two, I'm telling you right now, if these two, I like to say that a lot, but it's true, because I'm going to tell you. If this is farther out in front here, and this misses, this is farther back, you get big time snow potential into Carolina. I'm not sure it can go much further south, but you get big time. Easily double digits. And I don't think this does even justice. This 500 look here that you see, I don't think it even does it even close to justice. You see how it's progressively tilted, but you're negatively tilted? Watch here. See the negative tilt at the top of the trough and then progressive here. And then what this ends up turning into, you just turn this into a 50-50 low setup here. You see that? That's what this ends up just turning into. That's a classic snowstorm look. And that's just the second part. So the full phase here is how you maximize the ceiling potentially. But there's some threading the needle that would have to be done. But I just mention it because you're seeing something close to that on some of these model runs right now. Again, I'm sorry if I don't read all your comments. I'm trying my best here. I'm used to a lot less than this. I'm used to about 20 to 50 people in the stream. So we maxed out at 100, I believe. So a lot of people are curious about the storm, which I'm glad because I think I do a decent job at providing the analysis that you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear, but I'm here to tell you what is in reality. I'm here to get away from the clickbait, here to get away from the hype. There's a little bit of hype necessary with this, so people prepare. But I'm just here to tell you what I think is going to happen, not really much anything else. And don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for the snow potential here for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. But I'm also keeping in mind of how the ice potential is down south. And so Bass Fishing says, I'm in Northeast Tennessee right about 15 minutes from the Virginia border. They've been calling for heavy snow, but will the northern shift, will it be mainly an ice threat? I think it could be both. And let's see, this is one of the most farther north models right now. Also keep an eye, some overrunning snow across Kentucky tomorrow, rain and snow. And maybe you could get some frozen precip. Keep an eye on this Friday, maybe. On the northern edge here, it might just be rain. It's possible. And then the cold air, high pressure, comes diving down. And so this cold air comes diving. And what that does is now it allows potential for some snow to get out ahead. And so it's possible still that if you're in the northeast corner of Tennessee there, I think you absolutely have some notable snow potential. But the ice potential is real. If you're lucky, the warm nose is so strong, like you see here. You see in the CAD signature, meaning cold air damming from the north, high pressure. And I'm guessing models will underestimate the press of the cold too. So keep that in mind. That's why I'm still so concerned about the ice potential into South Carolina, Georgia, these places here, because models will underestimate the actual surface temps. But the ice potential is real in these places here. And it's not just a surface map. I'm telling you, I'm showing the surface map mainly more for the ice stuff, not this stuff. Don't look at this as, oh my God, this is that. Stop looking at this as if it's I'm telling you, do not look at this as if it's verbatim. I'm just generalizing, and the surface map can do that a little bit because we've gone over the upper levels clearly now at this point. And now hopefully what I can do is just show you the upper levels and connect it to the surface. Yeah, usually if you're, it still can. You can get well into the negatives on Exodi, I don't know how to say it, but watching from Nakina, North Carolina, came over from Gerald Channel, watching you guys. Enjoyed watching. Let me get another cough drop. It's too much talking, too much vocal fry. But thank you so much, Tammy Hall. Glad you've came over to the channel here. You're north. I'm having trouble. Maybe besides the eastern part of the state, and even then you may start as some. If you're lucky, you can get enough warm flow off the Atlantic so that along the coast you could get lucky. But North Carolina here, South Carolina, the ice potential is not good. Is not good to say the least. and we'll see how far north that could get here. One thing I've learned over the years is never underestimate the warm nose. Never do it. Models almost never. The NAM is the only model that tends up picking up on the northern extent of the warm nose. We had snow last year in DFW at 29 degrees. Yeah, that's a good temperature for snow. A mix of sleet, but mostly snow. How would we eliminate that mixing in Philly? We need to see. I don't think mixing is the concern in Philly. I really don't. I think just because you see the mix line go over, that doesn't. Your damage is done. Philly, if let's say if this euro verbatim, it's not going to be. Well, let's say it was. Let's say the euro is accurate. Philly, you're getting a foot of snow. You're getting a foot of snow in Philly. Okay, you're getting double-digit snowfall. If that were the case. Okay, if that were the case in Philly, you're getting 8 to 12 easy, and that might be underdoing it. So Philly, I'm telling you, basically DC northward. I would be shocked if we're looking at anything less than a blockbuster snowstorm here. Now again, there's a limit on how far north potentially. We'll see, but if we are to get let me preface by saying this: if we get a farther north and east solution here, then that does not mean these places into here still do not get massive snowfall totals. So keep that in mind. Lego Train says, hello, I was running my model trains. Well, everybody's got their passion, so I've learned to understand that everybody has their. I did like trains when I was younger as well. So, Kelly, you're welcome. Storm is a beast here. Let me see. Ice Storm early 2000s, NC player. Good for you. Get ahead. Snow in Fayetteville, North Carolina this weekend. Maybe you could get some in the beginning, but I'm more concerned about the ice potential. Our store's already running low on supplies. Yeah, I'm telling you, probably Amazon. I would try Amazon here. Amazon probably your best bet. They'll ship it fast too. A lot of the time. What's the realistic chance that Maine sees plowable snowfall? I think it's in line here. I think it's very much possible, and that's only as a result of the ratios. You could see 0.2 of an inch of QPF in Maine, and you could maybe get 6 inches of snowfall. That's how little QPF you need, meaning precipitation. And another super chat here from Educated Redneck. I appreciate it so much. Again, NC player, we gotta dial it down just a little bit here. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting close, but we gotta dial it down. We gotta dial it down just a little bit. The intensity. I know they're very passionate, very stuff, and you don't mean as strong as what you say, but we gotta be supportive of other people in here, right? Because everybody comes in here to chill and relax and talk about the weather. That's what we come in here for. So that's the goal. Yes, and I'll read the next super chat in a second. Educated Redneck, why does the GFS have North Carolina and snow, but all the other models getting us? We've discussed this in depth here. You might have missed it, but it's fine. Okay, I'll break it down again here. No problem doing that. So we'll get here. We discussed it. There's several scenarios at play here, but this is all what it comes down to, in my opinion. Everybody can talk about the high pressure all they want. It's the upper levels to me that are the surface high isn't the dictating factor. This is the factors right here, in my opinion. If this piece up here in the upper levels is further in front, it's faster, right? You have this big storm up here in Newfoundland, and it's the tail edge of this confluence piece. And this brings in the coldest air of the season right here, is what this does. Extremely cold air. And so what this does is, now you have cold air in place, and you have this low pressure here. These two are not in line, and they actually end up due. So the precip shield eventually gets up north, but not before you get a notable front end thump. And so what this does is it flattens out all the precipitation here, because since this is further, this piece cannot push through the wall. Imagine these as walls, and this is an opening. There's a wall. That's an opening, but this is where it came down from, so it's not going to go back up. This is the opening, right? If this is a wall, that's the opening right there. And that's how the steering currents work in the atmosphere. And so look what happens is eventually these two do, but not before you get a lot of overrunning precip out there. You see that? Not before you get a lot of overrunning precip. And then eventually it comes together. The high pressure is now able to move. It's a departing high, and that allows the precip shield to come north and absolutely clobber the mid-Atlantic and even dump a good amount of snow into southern New England as well. And so that's why the GFS shows what it shows. So hopefully that helps. Arthur Gillis, again, thank you so much. Congrats on the 18th, 19th. You smoked the service I used for Boston area. What is the estimated start in duration? So thank you very much. Yeah, we put out, you can go to the channel posts or the expo. We made the snow map grade for from actually the 17th to the 19th. We did well on both, luckily. The threat map and the snow map. It wasn't perfect, the snow map, but it was solid. And combine that with the entire forecast, we were able to get into the A range this time. We definitely cannot always say that about the snow maps, but so yeah, I was hopeful, and Boston was able to get into the 5 range like I thought they would. So there was a lot of 5 to 7 inch totals, I think, around the Boston area. Maybe there was a couple lower, but just as of weird stuff. But thank you so much, NC Player. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I just want you to keep that in mind. Keep in mind that these are people you've never met before, and it's very hard to understand tone on here. So like being a little bit easier with the tone. I can see through it a little bit more, but after seeing you enough, but not all these people know you. So just keep that in mind. I know you have good intentions, right? If I didn't think you had good intentions, I would have told you to kick rocks a long time ago for this channel, right? And I think you have good intentions. So do we see this ticking north more? I mean, it's not about, again, I guess I'll answer, again, thank you so much, Arthur, for the super chat. I have radio control. That's pretty cool. Logo train. I could not do that. I know that's a real big hobby for some people. So, listen, as a nerd myself, I can't. It's very, very fun and easy to make fun of the nerds, but I dial into other categories too. I don't go into my personal life, but all I'll say is I have to stay physically fit for other stuff I do. So I kind of dabble into the both worlds of the jock and the nerd, so I got you. Oh yeah, no, I understand, NC player. I appreciate you just being in here, so thank you for that. Going to be debilitating for us in Southeast Tennessee. Um, my mom is bedridden. Thankfully, we have a generator, etc. Yeah, Southeast Tennessee is definitely a spot where the ice potential is real. We'll just play a middle ground. The Canadians a fine middle ground. And I don't love the surface maps here, but the thing though with Southeast Tennessee is you could be saved by the warm sector being so amplified. The southeast ridge here being could pump so much warm air that you could be lucky. You could get lucky. Now, as you move into further west into Tennessee, no. So if you're back into central Tennessee and south, I mean Nashville right now, guys. I mean, not that's a big city that's in line for some freezing rain and sleet potential. You could start us some snow in Nashville, absolutely, but I think Kentucky might be a little bit better spot for that, for the mid south area. But the freezing rain potential there in Tennessee is real. It is real, man. Especially Nashville, man. They could get a lot. The ice potential is legitimate there. Too bad the Patriots aren't playing at home on Sunday. I know. I was thinking about that. I wonder what the travel is going to look like. I have no idea because this is days out ahead of the storm here. Denver's gonna see a bunch of snow out of this too. You see that in this part? Denver's gonna see a good amount of snow here. Not maybe not like major, but that will be a lot of snow for Denver. Right? You can look at this the winter map. You see that? Denver's getting a good amount of snow. Not as much as some of the even higher elevations, but still. And then that's that flight. I wonder what they're going to do with that flight. Are they going to go out Thursday? Or tomorrow? Are they going to go early? I mean, and then how do they get? They got to get back then too. They're not going to get back. Luckily, if they won, the Super Bowl wouldn't be for weeks. But and that would suck if you were to lose the AFC Championship game and then be stuck there, and you wouldn't be able to get back until like Wednesday or Tuesday. So I wonder what's going to happen there. Maybe snow game in Denver. Maybe snow in the field at least. Maybe snow on the field. So, but let me see here. Can we get more in-depth analysis on the developing warm sector from the Gulf on Sunday? Maybe determine our freezing line. I mean, you can only. I couldn't tell you the specifics of it right now, but I'm telling you that I will say is that some places along here could get lucky along the Gulf Coast just from such an infuse and pump of moisture of warm air into the system. You're very above average. This is another thing too. Models sometimes have a little bit trouble. The Gulf, very above average right now. I mean, several degrees Celsius above average. The Gulf is very much above average right now. And so, for example, sea surface temperatures are like 23 to 26 degrees Celsius right now, almost supportive of a hurricane, depending on where. Right here in the Gulf, supportive of some of those deeper waters, could support a hurricane right now. That's how warm those waters are. And so that will pump the warm nose. That warm nose is gonna go far probably. That's another reason why I maybe wouldn't love any snow potential across these areas here. Not any, but it would be very limited. So Gulf Coast could be saved here with this system, just because of the track. But the severe weather potential, there could be some. It's not impossible. You see that warm southerly flow out ahead, meaning the drastic cold air here? That creates a warm sector right there. I wonder, do we have any instability? Oh, we'll have to zoom in more. You do have some pretty notable instability. So I wonder if there's going to be some. I wonder if there's going to be some severe weather potential with this. I wonder on this side if there'll be severe weather potential. Mm. Let's see. Let me draw it back a little bit. You can see the warm sector. See that southerly flow get drawn up and you create it? Maybe. It's possible. So there's some analysis for the Gulf Coast there. But we'll see. This is really strong cold air in place here. 925s won't be the best. Got to get to the surface. Right there. That would be your freezing rain potential. Follow, that's your 0 degree line. Anywhere north of that, that's your freezing rain potential. Right through there. Just so brutally cold. I can't get over it. There's such a deep Arctic air mass in place here. This is the real deal, guys. This is the real deal. Y'all said you wanted a major snowstorm. Well, here we go. You're getting it. At least my prediction of us getting at least one major snowstorm this winter. And this isn't even the bomb. I thought we would do it by cyclogenesis, not through this. So maybe we get 2 major winter storms this winter, and that'd be something. But y'all wanted it. we're getting it. I wanted it too, just not with the amount of ice. Okay. Sister is in. Oh boy. I struggle with that. I struggle with how to say that. I know there's a local pronunciation. Murfreesboro. Oh boy. I'm not even gonna try. Just join the stream, says Brandon. What are your thoughts on tonight's model guidance? I think they're closer. I think they help support kind of my thinking that I was leaning towards. I wasn't confident, but I was leaning towards. Is that mid-Atlantic to southern New England is in a very good spot here for this system. For snowfall, to say mostly the all snowfall, and then concerned about the southern ice potential. 93 was a benchmark storm for many people. Stiddy getting the win in a snowball fight would be generational. Yeah, that would be old revenge versus the old team or something. Didn't answer the start in duration for Boston. You must be getting. Oh, I'm so sorry, Arthur. Yeah, I am getting tired. I apologize, Arthur. The start. The end time I couldn't tell you. The end time I could not tell you right now. But the start is this weekend, probably Sunday. Let me get into every single. Well, I guess the start varies as well. But probably around Sunday, if I had to guess. Sunday's probably the start time for this system. Hey boy, the Canadian just hammers. How big is this Canadian storm? There you go. Canadian says, you want 1 to 2 feet? Here you go. Oprah, TC, you can have a foot. You, everybody. It gives everybody. So yeah, that's the Canadian. Okay, and that's not even. Is that even finished? I don't think that's even finished. Look at that. Still not finished. Still snowing. My bad. Let me finish the run first. Still snowing. Still just rotting out. So it starts end time either Monday or Tuesday. I know that sounds wild that we wouldn't even know. Well, it's not even that, since the specifics of the setup can always change the day. It's that depending on how long the duration is, we just don't know. The Canadian, by the way, is more closer to the GFS. You see that? Than the Euro is. Look how different the Euro is. But the Canadian is just an in-between, in my opinion. It's an in-between. It's a really good in-between. And that wouldn't surprise me if that's what we look like. A messy phase, a messy partial phase. A messy partial phase, though, in this scenario versus all the past systems we've been tracking this winter, just would only result in a 10 to 20 plus inch snowstorm, probably. That's the difference. My great grandfather served on the battleship U.S. Texas during World War II. Built radio control USS control USS Texas to honor him in the fallen. That's very cool. Logo train. What did I miss, Bobby? I'm sorry, I didn't see what you were saying. Oh, Vrabel said Saturday. Oh boy, that sounds like trouble if you're trying to get a flight out Saturday. Real, I don't think PC. I'd rather be said to someone like this who's right, as opposed to someone who hates you and want. I'm not sure what you mean by that, NC player. I wasn't following along. Sorry. It's late. I'm trying to process what I can here. It's not fun. DJ Slink, but you're gonna get a ton of snow out of it. I would be shocked if I'm wrong. That's fine. I think you can get a ton of snow out of this. I really think you do. You have so much margin for error with this system. I'm not I know ice isn't fun if you were to get some, but you can find the most farthest northeast solution right now, and you would get a ton of snow there. I'm telling you right now, Mid-Atlantic, I would be shocked if you got less than 6. Like deep from DC to Baltimore to the Delmarva, I would be surprised. This is a little bit bold given how far out we are. I'd be surprised if you did not get at least 6+ inches of snow out of this. I would be surprised. I really would be. I'm having a tough time finding a scenario right now where DC, Baltimore, the megalop. Oh crap! Big words. Late nights. Not good timing for me. The megalopolis. Yeah, I think that's close enough. I really have a tough time seeing a scenario where those areas don't get at least 6 to 12 inches of snow. And that's that far out. If I'm saying it that far out, guys, you know there's some confidence there in that aspect. Most margin for error resides in the Mid-Atlantic now. Maybe I'm wrong, but it would take such a far north solution that is unrealistic. You still have a strong high pressure there. There's only it's a moving high, so it can push through, but it can't just knock it out of the way. Can't just knock it out of the way. You got to keep that in mind. Are you biting the ice totals in inches? I don't know to that extent. I always say, anytime you get these maps here, I'll show you the map. Let me go to surface, winter, freezing rain total, and I'll show you. Anytime you see these maps, The title of the stream is what it is for a reason. I'm probably going to keep it something like this going forward. You are going to get clickbaited. You are going to get lied to. You are going to get inaccurate forecasts. You're going to get pretty colors, and none of that is going to lead to the necessarily accuracy of the forecast. You're going to see some wild Facebook posts. I don't even use Facebook, but just from what I gather, you're going to see some stuff that claim 3 to 5 inches of freezing rain or something, and it's just, listen, there's a chance it could, there's certainly a chance it could be we could be talking about inches of freezing rain. There's a chance, but we have back into reality here. That cut all of these. Let me go to cut all of these in half to maybe 70%, at max 75%. So I'll say about 50 to cut this in about a half to 2/3. So about 50 to 70% of this would actually verify. That's the reality. These are never accurate. Never. They don't have the physics. They don't have the physics to resolve what's going to happen in the bottom in the bottom of the column, the surface. Hopefully, I answered your question, Arthur, Gillis, and Steven, about timing. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the chat here. I'm trying to get to everybody's questions. I'm having trouble getting there. This podcaster cares about you and your health and life. I don't know if I'm a podcaster, and I don't want to put myself into that stigma, but whatever you call me, it's fine. As long as it's respectful, I don't care. I don't really, and put a title on me that's not going to define anything of how I forecast. I've learned from a long time now, you can't let other people define who you are. You just got to be who you are, stay true to yourself, let whoever wants to crap on you. If you work hard, you know what your intentions are, and you stay true to that, and you keep working, good things will come. No matter how much crap gets thrown in your face, no matter how many times you got to get back up. That's what I've found is, those are the ones that keep surviving. Those are the cockroaches. But so let's say if this shows 3 inches of ice here, I'd probably cut that by about 50 to 60%, and I would lean towards that being more like 1 to 2 inches of ice, which would be crippling. Anything over like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice, anything over that can cripple an area, to be clear. Also, if you get ice and then you go to rain after, that will help a little bit. But I'll also say is, if you're cold rain around, if you're around 31 to 35 degrees and raining, and it's not accumulating freezing wise, that can sometimes not do anything to take away the ice. Maybe it puddles in some spots, but I've found that that very cold rain that's near freezing rain has some trouble, taking away from the snowpack and the ice accumulation. That's what I found. I don't have the same confidence for Foxborough Gallants for 6+, but it's not out of result because I don't think that's not what's going to happen. It's just out of margin for error. Remember what margin for error is. It's out of all the scenarios that could happen that you have a better chance to not hit the fail modes. If we're looking at all of the possible scenarios, that's how I try to phrase it. Because of the distance, being 4 to 6 days out with the system, depending on where you live, for some of those Southern Plains people here. So I can't specifically guarantee you it. When we discuss that, right now we're trying to figure out what upper level solution we're going to have, not how much snow. And in all of those upper level solutions we pinpointed, these areas here probably have the most margin for error to see plowable snowfall. And realistically, you could maybe plow if it's just plowable snowfall. You could maybe extend that this far north at this point along I-90. I'm getting there. I'm working down, and yeah, and because of the confluence being as far north as it is, and the jet streak being as far north as it is, this again is an expansive precip shield. But this could only enhance the F-gem potential here. Okay, we'll keep going through here. I'll try to get through as many comments as I can. We all want to go to the beach. Yes, the beach is a nice place. Comment. This is going to end up being the most intense shift of a model I've ever seen. I don't know about that. I've seen some pretty ridiculous shifts in model runs, but yeah, there's a list of scenarios. You too, Vetrus. You too. Just popping in. Broncos fan, welcome. Before bed? Well, I mean, if you're living in Denver, you got snow potential at this. I don't know how you found me as soon as I said Denver, but maybe you don't live there. But Canadian seems to always be a middle ground, Joe Weather. You're absolutely right. Are you biting the ice tolls and inches? I think I answered that. Clouds are in the sky. This is Alaska, by the way. Is this NFL fan? Is that the same person or a different person? You change your name possibly. It's good to have you in here, though. If they're measuring inches, there will be major damage. Yes, there would be. All the people that kept on wanting to trend north ended up getting ice. Well, that's what you get. Should have asked it to keep trending south. Well, yeah, I mean, any mid-Atlantic, if you were to get some ice, you're still going to get, I think, pretty major snow out of this, regardless. Rich, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. I don't want to jinx it, so to say, but we went through the possible scenarios, and I'm leaning towards a partial. I'm leaning towards a partial or a full phase, even, or at least I'm leaning towards a partial to heavy partial phase. That's where I'm leaning, and that would both of those would result in us getting a pretty significant storm here. We don't want people to suffer, though, NC player. But I appreciate you, being with me. But we don't support, letting people suffer. But thank you for saying I'm the man. Yeah, Pittsburgh could get hit hard here too. Pittsburgh could really get hit hard here too. Absolutely. So keep that in mind. When does this forecast lock in? Over the next couple days here, I think we'll get a much better idea. Just not on the specifics, but we'll get a much better idea, I think. Could a storm move south and get North Carolina some snow? Yes, but maybe not major snow. Not like it could be. But we'll see. We'll see. Thoughts on Connecticut? Connecticut's in a pretty good spot here. It's in a pretty good spot. I appreciate it, NC player. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to call it there because I got to get up early again, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to be streaming likely with Gerald tomorrow night as well, and then I'm going to come back here, everybody, again tomorrow night, similar time. If you're up now, you're probably going to be up again tomorrow night. So we're going to be starting probably around 11:30ish, okay? And we're going to do it all again. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. I will see you all next time. Big snowstorm coming. Appreciate it.